The Judge is quite the polarizing weapon in Valorant right now. Either you use it and you love it, or you hate it because you keep dying to it. Or you might use it and hate it, but you want to win really badly. Ever since the fall of the Bucky when the devs nerfed it earlier in episode 2, this gun has risen to take its place in the meta as the premier shotgun, and it has shown no signs of slowing down. What is going on, ProGuides family? It is your host Sergeant Frost, and today we are going to be talking about why the Judge is problematic for Valorant. And yes, I know that it is supposedly getting a price increase. We'll cover that in the video, so let's not waste any time and jump right in. As we approach the beginning of episode 3 act 1, the Judge is in the spotlight as one of the guns that are out of line in the Valorant weapon system at the moment. The Riot game devs have addressed this issue as well. Recent patch leaks have proposed changes to the Judge that have it getting a substantial price increase in-game. However, the Judge has been running rampant in-game for several episodes now, and I think it might take much more than a price increase to rein in this gun within the current meta. So let's talk about a few of the Judge's problems that have presented themselves inside of our games. But before we cover the fundamental issues with the Judge, if you're sick and tired of waiting for Riot to fix the gun, you can also visit our website ProGuides.com, where our Radiant and Immortal level coaches are more than happy to teach you ways to work around the Judge as best as possible. We also have partnered up with Sentinels 10s to release an all-encompassing course teaching you the fundamentals of playing Valorant and the tips he uses to dominate his pro matches. And we also have a course written by Team Liquid Scream where he will walk you through the ins and outs of the Duelist class in-game and how you can incorporate those agents into your agent pool today. If any of this interests you, make sure to come check it out. Running accuracy is one of the biggest problems the game currently has. Running and gunning is not a new problem to most people, and I think we can all agree that it is not healthy for the game, mainly because it detracts from the precise gunplay that Valorant is supposed to be built on. As it stands right now, the Judge is a fairly easy weapon to swing around corners with and rack up multi-kills like it's nothing, all while full sprinting. Running and gunning as a whole has been an issue that people have dealt with since beta, and it has still not been fully addressed. This has caused quite the outcry in the community because the problem persists a lot more than the devs like to admit, both on offense and defense. The concept of an automatic shotgun in tactical FPS games covers up a huge weakness that is designed to be built into a traditional shotgun. A true shotgun is pump action, which is supposed to balance its high damage potential by limiting you to one shot at a time, until you can re-rack the gun. Automatic and semi-automatic shotguns get rid of this mechanic and introduce a potential for one-shotting an enemy without needing to reload or re-rack the weapon. The Judge has proven that it can abuse this concept because it can one-shot while shooting consistently. That alone allows for this gun to be literally one of the best guns in the game to collect multi-kills with. It's even better than the Vandal and the Phantom at dealing with multiple people at the same time because its recovery is better and there's literally no spray pattern or recoil to deal with. This is not a good thing for an auto shotgun because having the potential to one-shot multiple people in quick succession should require much more skill than aim at the stomach and shoot. The Judge also has decent mid-range power when standing still and especially when crouched. This is problematic because shotguns have always been balanced around strong close-range power, with weak mid-range and long-range versatility. In fact, this brings back the same issue that the Bucky's right-click fire mode had, except it's worse because the Judge has 7 rounds and it's fully auto. Jump shooting is also another huge issue in the game as it is a very unfair mechanic that can be abused. The Judge is one of the worst culprits of abusing this mechanic other than the significantly weaker Classic because it is way too easy to leap around corners in game and jump shot people before they even have a chance to react. On the netcode and technical side of Valorant, jump shooting is extremely unfair because jump peeking a spot is very hard to punish. Additionally, with how peeker's advantage is an issue in game, this compounds and makes the problem even worse. While ping is a complex topic that is too in-depth for this video in particular, you have to remember that a lot of different movement mechanics that can be abused in Valorant and in other games as well are made oppressive with ping differences. We will dive into this topic a little deeper later, but shotguns typically are balanced around having noticeable weaknesses in mid to long range situations. But some of Valorant's map designs usually have a lot tighter choke points. This leads to the Judge being able to play to its strengths constantly because it's able to force more close range encounters. And lastly, with how Valorant's economy currently works, this weapon is too efficient for its current price. What I mean by that is, with how Valorant's weapon pricing is currently set and with how credits are awarded on a round-by-round basis in game, you can buy this gun on save rounds and still afford some armor and abilities, which makes it a very good purchase almost every single round. This allows for players to constantly keep buying the Judge round after round, win or lose, and it seems like the opposing team will never be able to break your economy. This is a noticeable tactic in high elo where players who are savvy enough will constantly buy shotguns after they lose rounds, and they still end up saving money while still having the firepower of a more expensive weapon. This tactic is highly abusable for teams on defense, and can make attacker sides considerably harder due to constant economic damage. Simply put, the Judge has been a powerful weapon ever since the game was released last year. The devs knew about its power level because they gave it a small nerf in episode 1 last year when they increased its price from 1500 to 1600 credits. The Judge has been one of the most low-key OP weapons that flew under the radar last year, and that is because one gun has been taking its spotlight for the longest time. What I mean by that is the Bucky being ridiculously strong was taking attention off the Judge, even though the Judge was busted as a gun since the game launched as well. Now that the bucky has been dealt with in the form of nerfs by the devs earlier in Act 2, the judge has quickly taken its place as the new broken shotgun. The bucky was too strong before due to how broken the right-click function was, making the gun formidable in every situation it was put in. But the bucky's strengths overshadowed the judge because it was so inexpensive yet so strong at the same time. The bucky and judge effectively were both broken in different ways while still being very strong guns. The bucky was able to abuse its right-click to snipe people with headshots at medium to longer-ish ranges. This made it a gun that could kill people instantly at ranges you wouldn't even fathom a shotgun killing you at. The judge, on the other hand, excelled at extremely close ranges, due to its high damage per shot, its insane accuracy while running and gunning, and because its fully auto fire mode made getting multi-kills a breeze. Although the judge follows the idea of a shotgun much closer than the pre-nerf bucky did, it still proves to be a little oppressive and gimmicky in games. Before we continue on, we have to get to our question of the day. Today's question is, in your opinion, how would you nerf the judge to make it more balanced? Personally, I don't think the gun is the biggest issue, but rather the mechanics in Valorant that make it particularly annoying to deal with. What I mean by that is that running and gunning and also jump shooting are the source of the many issues that the judge has in particular. Because the judge is so good with these mechanics, it takes away from the competitive integrity of games and sometimes feels like it's frustrating to fight a guy using a cheap gun and he still one-shots me full running. But that's just my opinion on this situation. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, let's hop right back into the video. The devs leaked earlier in June that they have price changes they plan on making to several guns in a better effort to balance the guns in game. The judge was one of the biggest names on that list, with a proposed price increase from $1,600 to $1,850. That's a 250 credit increase. While we do believe that the gun needs several changes in order to not be problematic, nerfing the gun's price is not targeting the main reasons for why this gun is OP. The judge isn't really OP because of how cheap it is. Its low cost means that it can be bought often no matter the state of your economy. But that's not the main reason for why this gun is broken. Increasing its price will stop it from being bought on save rounds by desperate teams, but on regular rounds, it's still going to perform just the same, if not better, since you'll have full armor and abilities. Here's the main thing we are trying to say is wrong with the devs' approach to balancing this weapon. Price nerfs often don't solve the underlying issue, but just make it harder to abuse with more detrimental economic impact if you die with an expensive weapon. However, increasing the price just says don't buy this gun, rather than trying to fit it into the meta properly. For example, if the gun was so strong that it could constantly outvalue Phantoms and Vandals, is it really balancing to make it 3,000 credits? Or is it just removing the judge as a weapon from the game? If you've played Valorant for longer than 2 weeks, you should understand that the judge performs a lot better on a few particular maps compared to others. Split, Ascent, and Bind allow for this gun to be extremely annoying because of how many tight corners and small areas there are on these maps. For example, the judge is oppressive on split defense, and if the defensive player using it is in a good position, there's not much you can do to outplay him or even get the drop on him. On Ascent, it's way too easy on both offense and defense to run into small areas of the map and decimate people with little to no retaliation. On Bind, there's a lot of tight corners around A and B, such as U-Haul or Hookah, that are very hard to push against a judge. In fact, on Bind, you can solo hold B-side on defense with the judge if you position yourself correctly. It's not uncommon to see high elo players solo hold B-side with the judge just by hiding in the B-side can or behind it. That's how powerful this gun is on close quarters on defense, and there is literally no stopping it if the user knows what they are doing. Okay, so enough of complaining about why this gun is a menace to society. Let's talk about ways we could change this gun to make it viable but not busted in game. First off, reduce its jumping accuracy so that it can't be abused like crazy, and also prevent characters like Jet from getting unfair kills with it with little counterplay. I also think the running accuracy needs to be nerfed so that people can't double down on low skill mechanics, since the judge is already a not very precise gun. Next, we can make the spread wider at mid ranges so that it has a clear drop off in terms of power level past short ranges. This should prevent people from stationary crouch shooting this weapon and sniping players by landing lucky headshots. We already dealt with one OP long range shotgun, there is no need for a second one to rise up and take its place. Also, I think the price increase is fine to combat desperate teams from forcing with it on every single save round. The only thing is that increasing this gun's price shouldn't be the only form of action the devs take against this weapon. A price increase on any gun as a form of a nerf is only a band-aid on a problem that doesn't actually address a weapon's oppressive traits. I think the devs should know that by now after their clown fiesta that was trying to balance the operator last year, especially since they are now considering reverting that price nerf after they gave it to it. More minor nerfs that could possibly rein in this gun also should include potentially slowing its rate of fire to prevent the consistency of multi-kills this gun can get, and also making the reload slightly slower could make this gun have more noticeable time gaps to punish for the enemy team. These are only a few nerf ideas to change the gun, but let us know if you guys have any other ideas. So, what do you guys think about this judge debacle? I think the judge isn't honestly as game-breaking as some people would like to make it out to be, but I do believe that it can be changed and still be made viable. Well guys, that's all we have for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content. We upload new videos just like this one every single day, and the best way to stay notified of that is by ringing that notification bell. Don't forget to check out ProGuides.com to gain some access to some truly amazing coaching. This has been your host, Sergeant Frost, and I will see you all in the next one.
it.